Namaste friends, welcome. My name is Yogi Aaron and I'm the owner of Blue Osa Yoga Retreat and Spa located in Costa Rica. This is our beautiful pool deck area and we come here and gather for special events or gatherings, or people just come here to relax and enjoy this beautiful area, this beautiful pool that I'm sitting in front of right now. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about today was how to sit for meditation practice. Now, a lot of people have these kind of erroneous perceptions that in order to meditate, you have to sit in a certain kind of posture. And that's half true and half false. So I want to tell you what the true part is and what the false part is. The false part is that you have to sit in some sort of lotus pose or half lotus pose and be able to sit here for a long time and suffer excruciating pain. Well, you don't ever want to be in pain while you're sitting. You actually want to be really comfortable. And that is so important, to be comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, then what's going to end up happening is that all you're going to be thinking about in your meditation is how uncomfortable you are. You actually want to direct your mind towards the higher purposes of your life. And if all you're focusing your mind on is how much pain and suffering you're experiencing in that moment, then it kind of translates into the rest of your life in not a very positive way. So we want to come and find a comfortable seat. And especially as I'm getting older and my body is changing, I'm really encouraging people more and more to just sit on a chair or some kind of place where you can just be really comfortable. The way that I was sitting before, from a biomechanical AYAMA perspective, actually will start to shut down all of the hip flexors and hip extensors. So unless you're going to do some muscle activation practices after sitting, I don't really suggest sitting in a cross-legged pose. Though you can, and it can be comfortable to sit like that, but please make sure that you do some muscle activation postures afterwards to make sure that all of these muscles are turned on, that they're working, so that they can support the joints of the hips and lower back properly. I talk to a lot of yoga people, and a lot of yoga people have a lot of pain in their hips, especially just sort of where the glute med is and attaches to in relationship to the greater trochanter. And I ask them, well, what do you do in your life? And a lot of them say, well, I sit cross-legged, or I do a lot of stretches in a cross-legged pose. And I'm like, stop doing that. And you won't have pain anymore. So that, the whole thing about glutes and how to activate the glutes is in other videos that I have on my YouTube channel. You can use the search function, and hopefully we'll put the links to some of the glute practices in the description below so you guys can access them. But what is important? So what is true, or what are the things that you want to work on when you're doing any kind of sitting pose? Well, to be quite honest and just simply, the two most important rules when you're doing any kind of sitting practice is, I mentioned one already, be comfortable. You want to be comfortable, because if you're not, all you're going to be thinking about is how uncomfortable you are. And that's not how you guys want to walk through life. You want to walk through life in a more effortless way, and in a way that's really going to be more comfortable and more effortless. So your seat should always be effortless. And then the second thing that you want to do is really cultivate stability. Now, stability means a few things. Number one, most important, stability denotes an idea that you're not going to move. So you want to keep the body as still as possible. And then the second quality, or second part of stability, is that your spine is erect as possible. So you want to keep the spine in somewhat of an extension pose. Now, extension means biomechanically back bending. So we're not actually going to back bend, but we want to keep that lumbar spine, the curve in our lumbar spine. And we also want to keep the thoracic spine also lifting up as well. So lifting, one of the cues that I give often is lift the top of the head towards the ceiling. And as you're doing that, feel the top of the head sort of over the tailbone. So you're also not leaning forward so much that you're kind of really balanced here as much as possible. Okay? So let's just kind of practice sitting. We're just going to do it for a couple of minutes just to kind of go over all of the cues, and then you can start to practice it on your own. One other important thing is you're sitting in a chair or sitting on some sort of surface, and the heels of the feet should be underneath the knees. So make sure that the heels are aligned underneath the knees, and that you're kind of organized in how you're sitting. That's also really important as well. So just finding your seat for a moment. We'll just sit for a couple of minutes, not too long. Make sure that the heels of your feet are underneath the knees, and that the femur bones, have a sense that the femur bones are hugging into the hip sockets. Have a sense that the hip bones are moving towards each other. So there's a slight internal engagement of the hip bones. Now extend through the spine. As you breathe in, start to feel that the vertebrae of the spine is moving upwards towards the sky. And as you inhale, you might actually notice that it almost feels like there's this internal sense of lengthening, internal sense of growing. Start to feel that the top of the head is rising upwards. Now relax the shoulders. Relax your jaw. And see if you can just practice for about maybe a minute or so, this practice called kaya sthira, which means that you don't move at all. So be really effortless, really soft in your seat. But also notice that there's an internal activation, if you will, that you feel that your inner body is active. Inhale deeply and exhale deeply. And I'd like to invite you to stay here as long as you like, watching the flow of your breath. Practice breathing in deeply and exhaling deeply. Allow your mind to stay connected with your breath as the breath flows in and the breath flows out. And the breath continues flowing with the qualities of smoothness, of effortlessness, and ease. Namaste, friends.